everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Sharon McCloskey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So firstly, in the rapidly evolving landscape, how are you staying ahead of emerging passenger trends?
I think the way we stay ahead, so in general, the way we stay ahead of emerging passenger trends is we talk to customers all the time. I want to say last year, from a research perspective, we did 20,000 surveys in our terminals of customers. And so we are talking to them about everything from customer satisfaction to latest concepts and things that they're interested in. So we have a lot of information on what our customers want. I think that helps us to stay ahead from a trend perspective. One of the things we're looking at right now and we're hearing from customers is more of a reaction to what's currently an inflationary environment, in the US. And so people are not pulling back on travel, they're definitely traveling, which is good for us. But when they come to the terminals or they come to park, they're looking for where can I get a little bit better deal. And so we're responding with things like pre-book your parking and you get a discount, or we're working with our concessionaires in terms of what can they do to adjust their menu offerings to create more value for customers. In the longer term, I would say we're definitely noticing that now, for us recently, the younger generations, the Millennials, the Gen Zs, are now the majority population of our travelers. And so we've got to be in tune with what it is that they want. And what we're seeing from that group is a need for what I would call radical transparency. They want to know if there's something going on at the airport, if there's a process that's backed up. They expect to be informed about that, much like what they would expect from any brand they do business with, Amazon or whoever. And so the airport needs to be able to respond in a way that is operationally transparent and is letting folks know here's where we have delays or here's where things are really fast, so that customers can make their mind up and adjust their schedules accordingly.
Absolutely. And do you feel at the airport you have the agility needed to, like you say, you're getting a lot of this feedback. Do you have the functions to be able to meet that quickly, or is that in long-term planning?
So we work through our partners in large, in fact, the airport's job many times is to influence other partners, because TSA is providing the security checkpoint experience. I'm not. And so our concessionaires are providing the shops and restaurants. I'm not. But fortunately, and a lot of what we do is we spend time building partnerships with those groups, so that once they recognize the data is there, then they are willing to make the adjustments. No one's wanting to come to work every day and do a bad job for the customer, right? They all want to do a good job for the customer. And so it is incumbent upon us to work with those groups many times for service delivery, because it might not be within our direct control.
Absolutely. And you've given a really clear, comprehensive idea of some of the expectations we're seeing from customers. But how are you using technology to help meet these?
I think when we look at technology, we really focus on time. For customers, the customer has told us that their core need is time at the airport. And so for us, we're a major hub airport for American Airlines, right? And for One World. And so many of our travelers are connecting, and so they feel really time pressed. We've actually done neuroscience studies on people's stress levels in the terminal, and they're highly stressed because of time. So what we've done is we've hired an industrial engineering team that looks at different processes throughout the airport and looks at how can we shave off 30 seconds here, how can we shave off 30 seconds there. If technology will help us, then that's where we're implementing it. So for example, it might be biometrics, okay, and biometrics does make things faster. We test it, make sure it does, and then once it does, we'll implement that. We also are big believers in giving people information along the way. I mentioned this transparency piece, and we're trying to implement that everywhere we can. So before you come to the airport, you'll know if we have a parking spot available in Terminal C or not. You'll know we have 16 different security checkpoints, and you'll know what the wait time is at every single one of them. So if you can choose the faster one, then you might choose to do that. We've got sensors on all of our concessions locations, so we can tell you whether that is open or closed. Before you have to walk down the hall to go find out, you can actually know before you take your walk. And so we've even put sensors in restrooms to tell you, whether restroom stalls are available in this area or not. You should just keep walking for the next restroom. We're really trying to do what we can to put information into the palm of the hand of the customer so they feel in control of their journey. So that's how I would say we're primarily using technology, is focusing on time and giving people time back in their journey.
Thank you. That's a really useful insight. And of course, you've got some expansion projects underway. What key lessons are you using to inform your strategy?
So we do have a $9 billion infrastructure development program that we're just about to start. And we're super excited. We really need all of these improvements. DFW Airport represents, or is a gateway to, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which is also really rapidly growing. And we've always said that we will not hold back the growth of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We want to be an enabler and not hold back at all. So we're there to match the growth of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it includes a new terminal build of Terminal F, as well as a sort of phased tear down and rebuild of Terminal C, which is our busiest terminal. So those are two big projects. There are also more projects, that are more behind the scenes, but those two big projects are very important to us. We work really closely with, in particular, American Airlines on Terminal C. And I would say from a takeaway perspective or focus perspective, we're still focused on the customer. We're focused on the customer even in the design phase. So I'm in many meetings related to design. The customer experience team is in those meetings. So we're not going to be handed a building at the end and here, go work with this, make this work for the customer. Instead, we're going to help design what works for the customer. And so that's been something that's been really great as we progress. I think also we're looking at timing and how can we build things faster, if you will. And the innovation that we've discovered there, we've implemented at one of our terminals, is that we will build the actual phase of the terminal, maybe it's 3 gates, 5 gates, we'll build it, I want to say, kind of off-site or away from the terminal, and then we're going to truck it in and sort of plug it into where it goes, almost like a Lego, right? What this does is it makes us much faster in terms of how we can build. The reason for that is because if you build it slightly off-site, you don't have to go through all the security, right? Your costs are lower, and so it just makes the project go faster. So from an innovation perspective, that's really a focus on the customer as well.
Absolutely. And then if we just think about the event in general now, how does it help to drive innovation within the industry?
I think it's really interesting when we have conversations. What I like about this event is that it has different sectors of the ecosystem here. So I could be, talking to an airline person, I can talk to an airport person, I can talk to someone who does eVTOLs, and there are many different perspectives. I think, one of the things that you hear a lot at conferences, this conference in particular I've heard, is the word frictionless and making things frictionless. I would tweak that a little bit and say, frictionless means easy, which is great, but also considering how time-pressed customers are, I would say let's look for stress-free, I think is the word that I would use rather than frictionless. So we have a lot of discussions here about how to make things stress-free for customers, and the side conversations really are the best.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your insights.
Absolutely, it's great meeting you.